Welcome back to Highwheel Woodworks. I'm Tim Eggers. Today we're going to use a surface planer to take our rough sawed lumber that we've run through the joiner and got a cleaned up edge or face on it. We're going to clean the other face up. The way the surface planer works is there's an in-feed roller here that's going to grab our board and propel it through. There's an out-feed roller here that's going to help it exit the machine. And there's this neat set of cutters right smack here in the middle. So what we want to do is we're going to lower our carriage far enough so that our board will slip in there, far enough in to be engaged by the in-feed roller. Then we're going to turn it on. We're going to crank it up until that piece starts to move, which will tell us that the in-feed roller's got a hold of it. We're going to go a little bit further until we hear it start to cut, and then the out-feed roller will expel it down the other end. So we've got our good clean face down. We've got it opened up far enough to be able to maneuver it. We've got it in far enough to engage the in-feed roller. We're going to fire it up and run it through. What you'll see is this will start to move, and then as I'm cranking it up, you'll hear it start to cut. Once it starts to cut, then I'm done bringing it up, and we'll get half the board surface. We'll run it back through again to get the rest of that face cleaned up, and then we'll take it down to the thickness that we want. So here we go. We're into where our in-feed rollers are. We're firing it up here. And that's what it did. It started cutting about here, and you'll notice we did not have a dust collector on. So we've got sawdust all over the place now. Let me go over here and fire this up quick. Hang on. There, now we have dust collection engaged. So when we run this through again, it's not going to make near as much of a mess as we already made. I've run part of this through. I can't make a change in the amount of cut that I've got until I've run the beginning of this board through as well. So we're not going to move our cut adjustment at all. Now you'll notice there that I had to make 3 adjustment cuts to it, about a ½ inch increase, or about a half a turn rather, to bring that deck up to get that. So now we've got this surface perfectly clean. Next step we're going to do is we're going to take and turn it over. Now we're using this one as our point of reference. We're going to do the same thing, and that we're going to clean up this other side now. So now we've got our board perfectly flat, both sides perfectly parallel to each other. The next thing we would do is, if we wanted to go to a specific thickness, we would run it through, give it a half a turn, run it through, give it a half a turn, and just measure it until we get to the dimension that we want. What happens if we're running 5 or 6 boards through it to get a uniform dimension to make a table with? We'll run them all at one level of thickness. We'll crank it up, we'd run them all again, crank it up, run them all again. That way, when we're done, they're all exactly the same thickness. And what we're going to want to do when we're feeding those through is we're going to take one board and push it right up next to the end of the board ahead of it. We want it to be close together to eliminate snipe. That way we only have a little bit of snipe at the very beginning of the project and at the very end. Things, again, that you would never do here is run it across grain like this, or run it short. And the guideline that I always use is my 2 guards on the top here. If my piece won't fit on there, I won't run it through here. If it gets too short and it's engaging the in-feed roller, it's engaging the blade, and it gets through to where it's not to the out-feed roller yet, and it's released by the in-feed roller, well, then it's a free agent. The blade can pick it up, and what it'll do, I've seen it happen, it just mangles it. It picks it up and grinds it into toothpicks. So never shorter than your guides on the top. That'll keep you safe. Another thing you never want to do is, obviously, if you've got a board that's short, don't want to run end grain through it all on the planer. So from that, we've got our initial reference surface cleaned up. We've got our opposite surface cleaned up. They're perfectly parallel to each other and perfectly flat. That's how you get your material nice and flat. So we've got two faces and an edge that are nice and clean. It's called S3S, surface three sides. That's what your surface planer can do.